Fixer, Sev, and Scorch. If you clicked on this video, there's a good chance that you already know who these men are. A clone commando squad composed of 4 members. To my knowledge, they first appear in the 2005 game Star Wars Republic Commando, but these souped up clone troopers appear in other media. For this video, we're going to try and focus on the game. If 2005 sounds familiar, that's because it is. The Xbox 360 would release in November of 2005, which was almost 20 years ago at the time of this recording. You got the OG Battlefront 2, Lego Star Wars the video game, which was the prequel trilogy 1, 2, and 3, Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, and Star Wars Galaxies Episode 3, which I didn't even play that. Star Wars Battlefront 2 and Lego Star Wars hold a special place in my heart, and I'm happy to experience them at the time that I did, but Republic Commando has always hit different. It played and felt different. With that being said, prior to making this video, I have not played Republic Commando in maybe 15 years, and for context, I was around 7 years old when this game first came out. So after scrolling through my sea of Steam games, I decided to revisit one of my favorite childhood games and see if it can hold up to this day. This is Star Wars Republic Commando in 2025. Republic Commando starts off with the playable character simply named Boss Delta 38 or RC-1138 on the ocean planet Kamino, home of the clone troopers and where you begin your training. Although clones were genetically modified and created and had superior genes, Boss would express exceptional skills in marksmanship and hand-to-hand combat, surpassing his average clone brothers. Because of these skills, he was handpicked as the leader of Delta Squad. With this, your journey begins during the Clone Wars. In Star Wars Republic Commando, there are 3 missions or separate campaigns. You have the first mission, Geonosis, a desert-covered planet populated by Geonosians and occupied by the Confederacy of Independent Systems, or CIS for short. The second mission takes place on a Republic assault ship that had gone missing and was occupied by scavengers. The third and final mission takes place on the Wookiee homeworld Kashyyyk prior to the events of Order 66. Alright, so going back to Geonosis, your tasks are to kill a high-value target, Sunfac, and then progress to the droid factory and destroy it. On the Republic assault ship, you are tasked to investigate a missing ship that has reappeared and grab the data cores and to figure out what happened for the 2 weeks it was missing. On the third and final mission, your primary objective is to rescue and extract the Wookiee chieftain named Tarful. I won't get too much into details about the Kashyyyk mission, but it does end on a pretty good cliffhanger, and General Grievous, he's there for a little bit. Each of these missions feel different and make you feel like all you have with you is all you have to survive. Each of these missions make you feel like Delta Squad is your squad, and fulfilling your objectives give you the ultimate motivation to get you and your squad home. There isn't a crazy amount of storytelling on the surface level of this story. It doesn't really add to the main entries of the Star Wars universe, but it does feel and play more like a standalone experience. If you die on the Republic ship, it won't stop the Emperor from rising to power. It won't stop Luke's hand from coming off. It won't stop Obi-Wan from having the high ground. If you die, you die. It doesn't change anything. In Republic Commando, if you go down, the only ones that are going to care are your squad mates and maybe the clone advisor because he wants his objectives completed. And I think that's what makes the game so cool. It makes you feel like you're the boots on the ground, getting dirty and doing all the stuff that isn't glorious. Because war is not sweet. There are no cool space battles, no lightsaber duels, no plot twist. It's just Delta Squad doing their mission. But with that being said, overall the missions are great and they do have some challenging and stressful parts, but they are really fun. There are only a few characters in Republic Commando, but this is a good illustration of quality over quantity. As I mentioned before, there are 4 members of Delta Squad, one of which being you or Boss, Delta 38, whatever you want to say. The other members of the squad are Scorch or Delta 62, the demolitions expert, Fixer or Delta 40, the codebreaker, hacker, or slicer expert, and Sev or Delta 07, the squad's marksman or sniper and just general badass. As I mentioned before, there isn't a whole lot of lore or world building done in this game, but there is one thing this game nails. It's the banter between soldiers that have been brought together under unfortunate circumstances that truly fleshes out each commando's personality.
Get clear! So much for stealth. Look! Fireworks! Stand back, Deltas.
Do you think it's enough?
The minefield is active.
There they go. Stupid droids.
A large majority of the dialogue in Republic Commando is combat dialogue or the clone advisor telling the squad their next mission, or the banter between the squad while traveling to objectives. Yeah, I don't really know how to explain it, but not a lot of games can get this right, or sometimes the dialogue just comes out as extremely forced interactions or just overall cringe as fuck. This squad feels like they have been together for a really long time, and it just flows really naturally, and I just don't really think about it when they're talking to each other.
Native creature killed.
Can I have some cover here? I can't rush this, you know?
Bullshit. 07 locking into your hut, sir.
Getting acquainted with the locals, eh, Sev?
That was fun.
Where's Sunfac?
In the next room, boss. And don't worry, I saved some targets for you guys.
I could be a little biased because I love clones and also because of my time in the military, but the interactions between the squad mates come off as extremely realistic and believable. I know I'm not going to explain this very well, but some of the commentary the squad would say, I would have already said it in my head, then one of the members would say the same joke or something very similar. There are a few games that come to mind when I think of inter-squad comms that seem realistic, funny, and not too cringe. Battlefield Bad Company 2 is a good example of great inter-squad dynamics. Alright, so with that out of the way, I want to explain why Delta Squad works fundamentally. As I mentioned before, Scorch is the demo expert, Fixer is a squad hacker, and Sev is the squad's designated marksman. That leaves you, boss. You're kind of the jack of all trades, but with the necessary ability to lead the squad. All the roles to fill a combat mission during the Clone Wars is filled by 4 people here. The only thing I can see someone arguing is missing from the squad is a melee expert or pilot, and to which I respond by saying the squad has zero need for a pilot, and that Boss and Sev are extremely talented when it comes to melee or hand-to-hand combat. The squad feels more real and alive because each trooper has their role. If the trooper performs their role, it allows for the other members of the squad to complete theirs. There isn't much left to touch on when it comes to the characters really, considering they all essentially had the same upbringing and majority of their life they have shared experiences. I think that kind of speaks volumes for the voice actors and writers of Republic Commando, because even though they were the same, they were all different. Also, there's something poetic about going to fight some goddamn clankas with the same homies you were in back to pods with. As far as weapons go, for today's standards, Republic Commando has a very small weapon variety. There are a total of 10 different weapons you can use if you don't count the DC-17M and its variable attachments. You got blaster mode, sniper mode, and anti-armor mode. If you count those modes, you have 12. There are 4 different types of grenades: thermal detonators, EC detonator, sonic detonator, and flashbang grenade. The thermal detonator is your normal frag grenade, great for general units. The EC detonator is an electric grenade, very useful against super battle droids and droidicas. Sonic detonators are pretty useful against large groups or heavier enemies. And last but most definitely least is the flashbang grenade. I spent more time flashbanging myself than enemies with this thing. It's terrible. Alright, so as I mentioned before, the DC-17M, which is the primary weapon of the Commandos, it had multiple attachments. You have the basic blaster rifle attachment, the sniper rifle attachment, and my favorite, the anti-armor attachment. Ammo for the sniper and anti-armor attachments are a bit harder to come by, so you really have to plan your attacks and determine if you want to use your better weapons or if you want to make do with your normal blaster. Trandoshans have different, almost projectile or ballistic weapons that are really good against shields and Trandoshans, but practically useless against battle droids. They have a shotgun, a submachine gun, a minigun, and a concussion launcher that functions similar to a grenade launcher. They are extremely nice to have on hand when you're low on ammunition for your DC-17. The Wookiees carried a bowcaster and a rocket launcher, and the only weapon the Geonosians drop is an elite beam, which functions very similar to the Sentinel beam in Halo. Also, all of the commandos have a little blade that comes out of their hand as a melee weapon and a sidearm pistol that recharges. To round up the characters and weapons, I think for what little technology they had back on the original Xbox 20 years ago, the characters and weapons they're still fun to play and interact with. Alright, so in terms of gameplay, I think this is the absolute strongest aspect of Republic Commando, both back in 2005 and currently in 2025. Republic Commando allows you to control or direct your squad to perform tasks or focus down targets. Now I know this is a relatively common thing now with games. Ghost Recon, SOCOM has done it for a while, and Rainbow Six Vegas 2 is kind of a throwback. But back in 2005 as a 7-year-old, being able to control an elite team of commandos was badass. In 2025 at 27, being able to control an elite team of commandos is fucking badass. Throughout the game, you will have positions that you can send your squad members to use for your advantage. For example, if there's a sniper position, you can direct one of your squad members to go to that position, take cover, and provide fire support while using a sniper rifle with more accuracy and damage. During the first mission, the advisor claims that if you have a better suited person to take up a position or task, they will do it better, but I didn't notice that during my gameplay at all. Another example is the door breaching or slicing. Throughout the campaign, you'll have multiple solutions to enter in your room, either slicing or hacking into the room quietly and being able to get those first shots off, or the breaching option, which alerted the enemies in that room of your presence, but your squad would throw a grenade and after the explosion, begin to enter and clear the room. In rare circumstances, you could completely go around, like crawling through a ventilation shaft, but most of the time you could just get by breaching. But there are a few times where hacking is a little bit better, so you can get multiple shots off onto heavier enemies before they wipe out your squad. Most of the things you have your squad do can be performed by you. Let's say, for example, you have an explosive charge that needs to be armed to stop battle droids from coming, but one of your squad members is dangerously low on health and the other two are currently at fighting positions. You can, option A, pull one of the troopers at the fighting position to go arm the bomb, but doing so you will lose firepower and fire superiority. Or option B, have the dangerously low health clone pull a hero play and plant the bomb, possibly causing him to go down and potentially causing further issues. Or you got option C, have the clone get health, then arm the bomb, but this takes time and we don't have time. Option D, option Delta, just do it yourself. Those are the kind of scenarios the squad-based gameplay and commands allow for. You get to make those decisions in real time and see the consequences, good or bad. One thing I would like to point out that I do think is missing from the game for the commands has to be the regroup or fallback command. It isn't a huge deal, but there were multiple times where I left an area and forgot a commando at a sniper position or a laser turret and had to backtrack to go get them. I know most modern games have a command to get rid of all active orders and have your squad form up on you, but this one just doesn't have it. Touching on the HUD is pretty simple and I can appreciate that because there isn't a whole lot in your face distracting you from what's going on. Big things are my health, squad health, and current objective. That's all I really care about. You'll notice that your ammunition is not displayed on your HUD, but it's on the weapon itself, which I found really cool. The HUD doesn't have... oh shit. Okay. The HUD doesn't have any crazy features. It has a low light and tactical mode. Low light or night vision mode is exactly what it sounds like, whereas tactical mode just highlights your squad members. Again, nothing too crazy, just simple additions. The UI and menu of the game is very simple as well. Keeping up with the blocky era of 2005. The menu is easy to navigate. My only complaint is the DPI on my mouse was too high to easily click things. I even changed my DPI all the way down to 800 and still had an issue and had to use the keyboard to click on things. The multiplayer has been shut down for a long time. I don't even remember playing it that much. If I did, it was with a few buddies playing a deathmatch-like game mode, but nothing really to write home about. For a game released on the original Xbox, I have to say the graphics in this game don't look half as bad as I expected them to be. A lot of older games from my childhood, I remember playing them as if they were in 4K, 360 frames a second with a 0.0001 response time, but I truly feel like Republic Commando looks the exact same as I remember it. Now, I'm pretty positive there are some upscaling or high-res textures for this game, but playing it natively was perfectly fine in my opinion. The graphics aren't great by today's standards, obviously, but I will say the game didn't crash once, nor did I have any performance issues. I don't recall any issues or crashes when playing Republic Commando 20 years ago, so I'm not really too surprised that I didn't today. Since we're in the era of rebooting intellectual properties, remakes, remasters, I just want Disney and EA to know I would pay an ungodly amount of money for a sequel or a remaster. Just name your price. As far as the soundtrack goes, there isn't much to say about it. It's fire. It's a Star Wars game. You pretty much know what you're going to get, and it's always going to be fire. So, in conclusion, I think Star Wars Republic Commando in 2025 is still worth playing. If you have not played this game before, or you have played it before and you just want to come back to it, or if you're just itching for a Star Wars game or just want a good FPS, this game is for you. There are some bugs and minor complaints I have for the game, but overall, I've enjoyed playing this game again. I've spent the last 2 weeks at work thinking about Republic Commando and wishing I was home playing it. I highly recommend this game, and I have to give it a solid 9 out of 10. The only things that are really holding it back from a 10 for me is the minor gripes with the command system, the low weapon count, and sometimes buggy, friendly, and enemy AI. Thank you guys for watching or skipping to the end of the video. This is kind of a first for me, so I would really appreciate it if you guys can leave some feedback down below, either supporting me or calling me an idiot. I really enjoyed making this, and I hope you all enjoyed it too. I hope to see you clankers in the next one. Peace out.